The architectural history of Linz, from Roman frontier to cultural metropolis. Linz, the capital of Upper Austria, occupies a strategic position along the Danube River, a waterway that has shaped its destiny for over 2 millennia. Unlike cities defined by a single iconic era, Linz tells a complex architectural story, one shaped by empire and industry, faith and power, destruction and reinvention. From its Roman origins to its Baroque splendor, from industrial expansion to contemporary cultural innovation, Linz embodies the architectural evolution of Central Europe in condensed form. It is a city that has repeatedly redefined itself while maintaining a strong sense of place rooted in history. Roman origins and early urban form. The architectural history of Linz begins in Roman times, when it was known as Lentia. Established as a Roman settlement and military outpost along the Danube frontier, Lentia was part of the defensive system protecting the northern boundary of the Roman Empire. While little Roman architecture survives above ground today, archaeological findings reveal stone foundations, roads, and fortifications that formed the earliest urban structure of the city. The Roman legacy influenced Linz's spatial organization, particularly its orientation toward the river. The Danube was both a defensive line and a commercial artery, shaping Linz's role as a trading and administrative center. This relationship between city and river would remain a defining feature of Linz's architecture throughout its history. Medieval Linz, fortification and faith. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Linz evolved into a medieval town of growing importance. By the 8th and 9th centuries, it had become a significant settlement within the Carolingian Empire. Medieval Linz was shaped primarily by defense, religion, and trade. The city developed around a fortified core, with narrow streets, city walls, and gates designed to protect its inhabitants. Linz Castle, Schloss Linz, located on a hill overlooking the Danube, emerged as a dominant architectural and symbolic presence. Originally a medieval fortress, the castle served as a seat of regional power and control over river traffic. Religious architecture also played a central role. Early Gothic churches and monasteries defined the spiritual landscape of the city. St. Martin's Church, considered one of the oldest churches in Austria, reflects early medieval ecclesiastical architecture with its modest scale and simple forms. These structures emphasized solidity and function rather than ornamentation, mirroring the uncertainties of the medieval world. Renaissance Linz, imperial influence and urban refinement. The 16th century marked a turning point in Linz's architectural development. When Emperor Frederick III and later Emperor Rudolf II resided in the city, Linz temporarily became an imperial residence. This elevated status brought cultural ambition and architectural refinement. Renaissance ideals began to influence Linz's buildings, introducing symmetry, proportion, and decorative detail inspired by Italian models. Linz Castle underwent significant transformation during this period, evolving from a medieval fortress into a Renaissance palace with arcaded courtyards and representative spaces suitable for imperial life. Civic architecture also flourished. Townhouses along what is now Hauptplatz, Main Square, were rebuilt or renovated with Renaissance facades, ornate portals, and internal courtyards. The square itself became one of the largest enclosed urban squares in Central Europe, reflecting Renaissance ideas of order and civic identity. Baroque Linz, power, religion, and visual drama. The Baroque period left an indelible mark on Linz, transforming its skyline and architectural character. In the 17th and 18th centuries, Linz became a stronghold of Catholic renewal during the Counter-Reformation. Architecture was used as a tool to express religious authority, emotional intensity, and political power. Baroque churches dominate this era. The Old Cathedral, Alter Dom, also known as the Jesuit Church, exemplifies Baroque restraint combined with monumental presence. Its twin towers and clear spatial organization convey both spiritual authority and architectural discipline. The new cathedral, Mariendum, although constructed later in the 19th and early 20th centuries, reflects the lasting influence of monumental ecclesiastical ambition rooted in the Baroque tradition. Meanwhile, monasteries and clerical buildings introduced elaborate interiors, dramatic light effects, and rich stucco decoration. Urban space was also reshaped. Streets and squares were visually aligned to emphasize key religious and civic landmarks, creating a theatrical cityscape intended to inspire awe and devotion. Enlightenment and early modern administration. By the late 18th century, Enlightenment ideas began influencing Linz's architecture. Under reforms initiated by Emperor Joseph II, architecture became more functional, restrained, and rational. Decorative excess gave way to clarity and purpose. Hospitals, schools, and administrative buildings were constructed with emphasis on usability and public service. This period marked the beginning of Linz's transformation from a religious and imperial center into a modern administrative city. While less visually dramatic than the Baroque era, Enlightenment architecture laid the groundwork for urban modernization. The 19th century, industrialization and historicism. The 19th century fundamentally reshaped Linz. Industrialization turned the city into one of Austria's most important industrial hubs, particularly in steel production and manufacturing. This economic shift had a profound impact on architecture and urban planning. New districts expanded beyond the historic core, accommodating factories, workers' housing, and transportation infrastructure. Railways connected Linz to Vienna and Salzburg, reinforcing its strategic importance. Architecture during this period was dominated by historicism, which revived and reinterpreted earlier styles. Neo-Gothic, Neo-Renaissance, and Neo-Baroque buildings appeared throughout the city. The new cathedral, with its towering spire, reflects Neo-Gothic aspirations and civic pride. Residential buildings from this era feature ornate facades, decorative balconies, and generous proportions, symbolizing the confidence of a growing bourgeois class. Industrial architecture also became a defining feature of Linz. Factories, warehouses, and power plants introduced functional forms that prioritized efficiency, marking a shift toward modern architectural thinking. Early 20th century and the impact of war. The early 20th century brought architectural experimentation alongside political instability. Modernist ideas began influencing housing projects and public buildings, emphasizing functionality, hygiene, and social reform. However, World War II left a heavy imprint on Linz. The city's industrial importance made it a target for bombing, resulting in significant destruction. Post-war reconstruction posed difficult questions. How to rebuild a city marked by trauma while addressing urgent housing and infrastructure needs. Post-war modernism, rebuilding and reinvention. After 1945, Linz entered a period of reconstruction dominated by modernist principles. Concrete, steel, and glass defined new buildings, while urban planning focused on efficiency and mobility. Large housing estates were constructed to accommodate a growing population, reflecting social democratic ideals of equality and access. This era also saw the continuation of industrial architecture, reinforcing Linz's identity as a working city. While often criticized for its austerity, post-war modernism laid the foundation for Linz's later transformation by providing the infrastructure necessary for cultural growth. Late 20th century, from industrial city to cultural capital. By the late 20th century, Linz began redefining itself. Recognizing the limits of an industrial identity, the city invested heavily in culture, technology, and contemporary architecture. This transformation is most visible along the Danube. Industrial zones were reimagined as cultural spaces, reconnecting the city with its river. The Ars Electronica Center stands as the most iconic symbol of this shift. With its glass facade and illuminated exterior, it represents Linz's embrace of digital culture, media art, and technological experimentation. The Lentos Art Museum, designed by Weber and Hofer, further exemplifies contemporary architecture in Linz. Its elongated glass structure creates a dialogue between historic and modern elements, particularly when illuminated at night along the riverbank. Linz in the 21st century. Architecture as identity. In 2009, Linz was named European Capital of Culture, solidifying its international reputation as a city of innovation. Contemporary architecture in Linz is characterized by minimalism, transparency, and contextual sensitivity. New residential developments, public spaces, and cultural institutions prioritize sustainability and human-scale design. Architects in Linz increasingly focus on adaptive reuse, transforming former industrial buildings into cultural and educational spaces rather than demolishing them. The city today balances preservation with progress. Medieval streets, Baroque churches, industrial relics, and futuristic buildings coexist, creating a layered urban narrative. Linz demonstrates how architecture can be a tool for redefining identity without erasing history. Conclusion: Linz as an architectural narrative of change. The architectural history of Linz is a story of constant transformation. From Roman frontier to medieval stronghold, from imperial residence to industrial powerhouse, and finally to a center of culture and innovation. Linz has repeatedly reshaped its built environment to meet new realities. What makes Linz remarkable is not the dominance of a single architectural style, but the coexistence of many. Its architecture reflects resilience, adaptability, and ambition. Linz stands today as a testament to the idea that cities are living organisms, shaped by time, people, and vision, and that architecture is both a record of the past and a blueprint for the future.